Well, hello, good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at in the world. Welcome to this special episode of Space 1999. This episode, I'll be joined in a couple of minutes here with some very, very dear friends and special guests. And thank you for tuning in today. But of course, we have that big raffle that we're going to be selecting a winner for today in regards to the two special effects storyboards used, authentic production used items used by Brian Johnson and his team. So very, very exciting. We'll have some Manchester updates. And of course, the big news will be related to everything to do with that dealer and exhibitor room with our recently announced expansion. Not only to include Space 1999, but all of Jerry and Sylvia Anderson's works and properties, including UFO, Thunderbirds, Captain Scarlet, Joe 90, you name it. It will be one for the ages. So we're really excited to provide a few more details on that with our special guests, and we will dive right in. And we'll get going with a couple of fine fellows here. Sorry for the delay in launching. I was actually just adding some extra names, some last-minute names to our prize wheel, which we'll come to in just a little bit here. So there's been some last-minute membership purchases. I wanted to make sure to get everybody on there. So that's going to be a lot of fun here towards the end of the show as well. So we will now bring on our very special guests today. From the other side of the pond, we have Daryl and Scott. How you doing, fellas?
Hi, guy.
Hi, hello.
How are you, Warren? Are you okay?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Well,
Yeah,
wonderful.
we're cool.
Yeah, you guys are looking well, and you've had a good last few months here, right?
Sort of. Diane's, we've been nursing Diane, and Scott's picked up an hernia from moving strawberries with me, but he's been operated on around February, so all being well, all's fine and dandy, and we're carrying on, and we're building spacesuits at the minute, and all that sort of stuff quietly, aren't we? So, yeah.
Space. What would that be for? Spacesuit? I have no idea.
I have no idea. I mean, we had 6 of them. It's grown into a few more, and silly helmets and front backs, backpacks, haven't we?
Yeah.
So all sorts we've been doing. So, but the main thing, trying to get them as accurate as possible. You know, we've been doing pretty well, haven't we? I mean, small things like the ROC patches. You know, we can't find proper ones of them. We can't get them made up. The original ones were made with ribbon. You know, so all the ROC patches were made with ribbon. Dave McLaughlin is about the only one that ever copied them that way. But I've just had to have some specially made for the suits and get them looking right, you know, and that sort of thing. Cuffs, front backpacks, all that sort of stuff. But for the last few months, I've been really working on. So yeah, we'll have about 10 or a dozen by the time we finish. Somewhere as you do. And then the other thing that's nice for us, because Jim's been thinning out his collection a little bit, is that I managed to purchase this lot of Jim. So these are all Dave McLaughlin originals, jackets and full suits, and they're all full belted, full everything. So we're just on the hunt for platform shoes to wear them now. So yeah, so they make a nice addition to Eagle 6, and when we get out again and doing what we do. As for Eagle 6, she went in storage last year. I was hoping I could have worked a bit more on her in the storage she's in, but it hasn't panned out that way. But we are hoping to restart on a lot of things on January 1st. So we're just doing Christmas and then heads down, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, that's wonderful news, and you know, I don't have to tell anybody out there how incredible of an opportunity that was back in London. And, you know, of course, the three of us and the family, you know, preceding that, I mean, we were talking quite frequently over the course of the year leading up to London. And I was sort of, you guys were keeping me apprised of every step of the journey. And of course, you've along the way, I mean, it's been quite a ride, just a couple of quick photos here. It really all just started with chair, right?
Yeah, that's the original.
Yeah, and
it's sort of, I mean, for them that know and them that don't know, the original dentist chairs that were used were made by a company called Ritter. R-I-T-E-R. I think there were 50, 60 chairs. But a good friend of ours, Peter Jackson, he's still a dentist, he's retired now. But Peter actually had a second one. And there is a few variations out there. There's about 4 or 5 different variations of them to actually get the identical ones. But that's sort of, that's where we started off, trying to see if we could get the original stuff. I mean, I've had people, even Martin Wiley and people rung me up, Daryl, because it's hard. It's really hard to scale the Eagle cockpit. There's not many knowns in there. The chair's one, the fire extinguishers is another, seatbelt clips that we've been lucky enough to track down and find and get the exact items. So once you get that, then you've something to work from. So, but there's been many hours going through reference and double checking and treble checking, and is this close and is it as near? One of the awkward ones with Eagle is because we always call the backside Carter side and the front side towards camera Koenig side.
Mm-hmm.
Koenig side very rarely appeared. And I remember one day on the buttons trying to copy the eggs. Yeah, tell me. And I remember on the buttons just trying to, because we're trying to copy every motif. It's about 5 alphabets in there, and acrylic and all sorts of things.
Yeah, because you saw more of one side than you saw Koenig.
Yeah, Koenig side very, very rarely. And same with Carter side of the front console. There is not, it gets a bit sparse, and we had a few learning curves actually. There's middle console, top sloping side of it. That on the letter set sheets, the gobbledygook that's there, we found it right at the bottom. That's on virtually on every sheet, but it was put on there in a funny way, just a few lines of it, sort of on an angle. And another one that was interesting for me is that when you look at the center of the console resting on the floor, at either side it has 2 oblongs, rounded corner oblongs. But then I come across this image, and the decal that is on there, the letter set sheet that is on there, basically is the exact same one that's on the Forest Alive radar tower, which I happen to own, gifted by Jim Munch. So,
okay.
So I think they'd use that decal really to imitate speakers of some description at either side.
Yeah.
Lots of learning curves with Eagle. We're trying to get as close as we can, and we'll continue to do so. And me and Kit Bevan were in conversation quite often, and become really good friends since last year. Kit's had a fantastic time at London, as we all did, and Kit sort of joined the family now. He's sort of weird, and happy to have him. He's brilliant, If you don't know Kit, Kit was with Dave McLaughlin, and they produced the main mission set that was on Message to Moonbase Alpha. Yes. Which, when I found out, I was quite shocked and surprised because Zini is there. And I only found out the other week off Andrew that it was actually filmed in his living room. So, so Zini went there, and Kit went there, and Andrew did that, and that's how that appeared. So, yeah, brilliant stuff. But, Kit is a bit like brethren, because there's not many of us looking at the set work. I'm not going to bang a drum, but you've got to understand the models are absolutely fantastic, and Bay is absolutely fantastic. But we really do not know much about how those sets, who moved them, who built them, who were there. They were moved around L&M stages all over the place with frequency, but yet they still take your breath away, and they're still massive, and they're unique, and all the wonderful things about the sets. But we don't know a lot about them. So, we're still getting real great fun out of it 50 years later, because it just keeps giving, so space is space, isn't it, But,
and it's timeless, Daryl. Like you'd mentioned the model and effects work, but Keith Wilson and his designs of the Moonbase itself, the interiors are just, in my mind. I mean, I watch a lot of science fiction. I have over the years, And
Yeah.
I might be a little biased, but I mean, when I go back and watch Space and I see those interior sets, I'm just so blown away.
I mean, I've said this before. It does get mind blowing. I mean, when you see Force of Life, when you see Solarium, and they all changed dramatically, really. Every segment. Victor's wasn't Eleanor's wasn't Cornig's wasn't Solarium.
Yeah.
They were all, but that modular system that Keith put together, boy, it seemed to work really well for them.
Yeah.
A bit of it, and I learned that really when we used to, if people don't know, I used to help organise and look after all sections alpha shows when we were going out. So Chris P, Chris T, Andrew, Jim, Dave Sis, we all used to work together, and we were gifted really, and we were blessed because all sections alpha really in that group, the people that were in that group, if you had a question about space, they were the guys to ask. They were the guys in the know. They were the guys that had been there for years and household names. So we were blessed. But when we used to go and do ASA shows out and about at Cosford and places like that, Space Centre at Leicester and Andercon, 1 and 2 and all them sorts of things. But we never stopped learning. It's still brilliant even now. You're still learning even now, and it is really down to the work of all them people that did all that work. And even like Chris Trice last year when we were down at London, he invited 2 guests along, and it all blew us away because they actually worked under Wag Evans at Space Models and built the Eagles.
Yeah,
so they were being reunited with Eagle 2. Andrew's original Eagle 2 and things like that. Same with Christian Arnold when Christian came with his dad's Comlock and his dad's.
There was so many surprises that I mean,
it was such a show last year, such a show. But moments like that, I mean, like I said, Christian came up to me and said, "Do you mind if I replicate this photo?" And funny enough, I didn't sit in the Eagle that much.
Yeah.
But I was sat in the chair, and he came over to me and said, "Look, do you mind? That's the one." And I was sat there, and he said, "Do you mind if I replicate this photo with my dad?" So I tapped my knees and said, "No, I don't mind. Come on then." And anyway, we'll let him sit in on his own.
Why not? It was a memory for him. Why not?
Fantastic memory, Scotty, weren't it?
Yeah.
But what a lovely man Christian was.
Absolutely.
And he was learning, and he was listening and learning from everybody, which were wonderful. The guests as well as the model makers as well as everybody.
He was as thrilled to be there as any of us were, Daryl, and you could just tell. He was so enthusiastic, so gracious, and humbled by all of us and everything we'd put together. So this was a very, very proud moment for all of us.
I mean, Warren, credit to you for the guest list last year. Yeah. I mean, I know we talked often, but when you showed us that guest list and who was actually turning up, that was kudos to you, mate. And thank you. I mean, did I ever? It's really weird. I don't really autograph hunt and things like that. I'm more of a builder type person. I'm more of a how was this done, that type of thing. But when I know the Italian contingent wanted to film in the Eagle and do a little bit on the Sunday morning, did I think I'd meet Gianni? Did I ever think I'd meet Gianni? I think it was his wife came over and talked to me. And then all of a sudden, and then he came over, and then we put him on the jacket, and then Gianni wanted to join in, and wow, what a gentleman! What an absolute gentleman!
Yeah,
not enough words. And same with Nick, same with them all. The guests, I'm a bit sad I didn't get a chance to really go and talk to many of the guests. I managed to talk with Brian and Guy, but yeah, it was a terrific show with London. So thank you, Warren. I'm glad I could help. Yeah.
Well, and from all of us, I mean, that Eagle display was certainly the centerpiece, Daryl, and it created not only for all of us, I mean, from the behind the scenes perspective, but the guests and the fans that were just in awe of everything to do with that. I'll show you another one here, quick.
Devin and Kim.
Look at how much fun.
Yeah, we decided to have a play for a few hours one night, didn't we? And we had a play with suits and yeah. Again, the Sunday morning thing, because it does get touch and go this day and age about allowing people onto things, with health
Yep,
and safety and all that.
absolutely.
But there was one Italian lady, and they'd just done the filming, and she was stood there. I know she's unfinished. She still is a work in progress, as you can see, but I think the overall feel and look is I'm very happy with it, really where it's progressing. So yeah.
Well,
But that is all it.
very special moments, and it was remarkable to see come together. It was a long journey, like I said earlier. It was a long process. There was a lot of factors and considerations, like you said, even with liability to allow people to jump in. We went back and forth. Hell, the room size.
We are aiming. I mean, I know that we talked about Manchester at London. It is 18 months ago type thing. And I did say to you at the time, maybe I felt, apart from Blackpool, when Jerry had his exhibition in Blackpool, that it is a massive area up here. You can jump into Wales, Yorkshire, Lake District, Birmingham, all over, any direction, really. And I think, really, to do it justice, because I'll give Granada the dues. If anything, Thunderbirds and things ever raises its head, they always seem to mention it, show it, have it, whether ITC links are there or what. But I just think there's so many people up here that has really never had the opportunity to get close. So, we spoke about this and could we come off? And I remember you said to me, London, LA, Manchester, Devil, what do you think? And again, if it's going to be your third one, and we've had two great shows, why not? Let's give it us all. I have told you, and people might not know, I did look after all the ASA shows in the background. The things on the table with the guys, but I was in the, doing the phone calls and sorting out and all that side. All the guys I've spoke to are looking forward to Manchester. I've said I'll help you run the model room at Manchester. I think the Eagle isn't going to be the main attraction next time, because there's something coming that I think is going to outweigh that quite easily. And also, we discussed about introducing Super Mario Nation, and I'm talking with a few of the guys on that ilk as well, because the anniversary. I think it's 60th anniversary, is it, this year for Thunderbirds? So we in the background, I'm talking and with the guys and seeing what could we bring, and make it super special. So that's the aim. The aim this year is to make it super special, and if it's going to be the last one, then we'll do all we can to throw everything we can at it. So
The last one I'm going to be involved with, I've made no bones about that, is that it's for anybody who's ever had to plan an event, there's a lot to it, and to turn around and subject myself to this 2 or 3 times now.
You're mad. I mean, I told you that when I first spoke to you that time. I said trying to do this from 5,000 miles away type thing is crazy, right? Yeah. And that's why I joined in for London. Yeah. But it's but look at London. You did it. It achieved. It was fantastic.
There was a lot of, along the way, I had a lot of doubt as to what I was getting myself into, but it happened to work and click for a lot of people on a lot of levels. So, I was happy to replicate that. I
learned my lesson well. We ASA when the guys, because we used to go to Draycott, so we were on the forum, and then once a year we go to Draycott. Chris and one or two other guys, we used to go back to Draycott Golf Club every year, and then we'd go for the weekend, and then we'd show our wares, everybody what they're building and what they're restoring and all that sort of thing, and then we'd go home. When we did Draycott's, and that was one of the main things, I used to think, because my showman were a DJ, my background were a DJ and all that, we always set up at Draycott, and I always felt like we needed to open the door and let the public in, but there were no public coming. You know what I mean? It always felt to me like we put this great show on here and we're raising money for charity between ourselves, but we can't show people. There's nobody coming. We haven't told anybody.
Right, right.
And then when we did decide that we were going to go out as ASA, all the the guys that everybody, the names most people know. Again, we sort of said we'll do 3 that first year, and that turned into 7.
There you
Jamie, right, and there you go. And then all of a sudden, and I cut my teeth on that, and I thought, well, I'm well placed to do that. All the guys are doing what they do, and I'm not doing what they're doing. I have a bit more free time. And yeah, ASA shows were wonderful, and the guys and everything. But then that progressed, and again now it's progressed. Well, I'm Historic at Peterborough. And that was a fantastic show.
Yep.
And then like I said, we'll be at London, and it's great because it still feels like family for everybody. So that's the main thing. So, but again, I always applaud the guys with the originals. They've saved them. Phil Ray obviously saved majority of it, but they have them in their collections, and God bless them because they are still wanting to take their private collections out and show people. So it's wonderful. And then you have great builders like Chris Potter and Chris Trice and all that alongside, and it's we class it as family. We always good or bad, and we have fallouts, but it is what it is. We're still family, so it's wonderful. It's just so wonderful.
It's fandom. It's you know what, and you just hit on a couple things there. I mean, yeah, the important thing is the big takeaway is that everybody seems to come back together, right? Regardless of what's happened in the past.
It's Anderson.
Yes, no, I know, and it's not just space. It's like all aspects of the Anderson universe, but over and above that, it's all fandoms. Trust me, I'm involved in a couple other fandoms, and it's I mean, you're going to have disagreements, and you're going to have some battles over ego and things like that. But at the end of the day, everybody comes back and pulls together and works, as a team to put on these events for the fans, and it's really humbling to have facilitated this a few times now, and I mean London. I mean the people that did come to. I mean I don't have to name the names. People know, right? I mean there was some riffs and arguments from down through the years that everybody just sort of set on the back burner and came together to host a fun, exciting weekend, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's to be honest, Robin, it's more than that. I mean, that we have a toe in the Star Wars land. You know about that being Scott. That with costume and we do all that sort of thing. But there's something about and there really is. I know Jim went to a UFO convention a few weeks ago.
That looked amazing.
But good or bad, right or wrong, bad or great. But it's fantastic, and they all turn up, and they all have a great weekend, and they go on, and it's and always it creates memories, no matter what happens, and that's the bit about conventions, and especially our conventions, because it's not about going to a convention and queuing for 4 hours, and it's not about you can't talk to any guests, you just stand in line and pay your money. The Anderson world, it's nothing like that. You can have a breakfast with a guest. You can have a drink with a guest. The guest will sit down and have a chat with you for an hour about things totally irrelevant to space. And it's more at ease. It's more at ease.
It's more. Sort of thing. You're right. You're not going to get this at a Doctor Who con, a Star Trek con, a Star Wars.
You don't get it anywhere else. You don't get it anywhere else.
Yep, exactly.
And for me, I was very lucky to be. Chris Trice invited me down to his gathering 2020. So believe it or not, even I think back in Christ, I've been doing this 25 years. You know what I mean? Have I? Really? Is it that long? And you get all them questions. But, and the minute we got to Chris's, it was wonderful. And Chris had done an Eagle Meet year before. So it was pretty early on with his Eagle Meets. And then, and that sort of grew to a nucleus, and then that nucleus sort of gelled, and then we all go out. And the beauty about this is everybody's doing their own take on it. Everybody does it for their reasons. You know, I mean, like me, I'm a fine scale modeler. I work in 2mm, 4mm, and all of a sudden now I'm thinking of building 60-foot sets and replicating eagles and doing and it's that funny thing about space. You know, I mean, I find it hard to watch a space these days as much as I did early on because I'm always looking over the shoulder. I'm always looking what's behind that shelf. I'm always looking what's through that door. You know, so it just gets you like that. But it's one of them things. You know, you can have a breather for a few months, but you urgently run back to it. You know, you've other. I mean, Kit, he has his space days. He has his, you know, he religiously has all these episodes and what he does. We all have our own tech with it, but it's so special. That's the thing about it. There's nothing like it. It is a bit standalone, you know. So that's the wonder of it. And boy, did it bloody look good, you know.
Oh,
Sorry for swearing. I'll do it
no,
again though if you want me to, because boy, does it look good.
God,
You know.
no, it's amazing. And it created, like I said, I mean, so many special moments for so many people, Daryl, and just hats off to you and your entire family, Scotty, Nikki, Diane, everybody was there helping out and making.
Left me now. I haven't seen Diane for 4 weeks now.
I mean, like a year out, I mean, you and I talked. It was like there were so many dynamics and so many things to come together, and it's just, you know, I mean, it was so wonderful to see that pay off, right? All that work and time and investment of resources
And again, you know, your first one, if there's mistakes made, well, them are learning curves, you know, and hopefully rectify that. And you know, but the one thing I could help you with is that we'd done all those ASA shows and we knew the whys, the wherefores, the ifs, the nots, you know, and that sort of thing. Yeah. There's quite a few guys, you know, I know there's going to be people in Manchester that couldn't make it to London that will probably turn up this year. I know people like my good friend Lois over in Denmark, you know, he's already booking his time off and that. So I have a feeling this is going to be a terrific one. And like I said, with Granada Reports as well, I would imagine that they will want to at least have a word with you, if nothing else, because they always seem to cover that type of thing, you know, and they seem to hold Thunderbirds in the hearts as well. So it you know, so again, we're having not just the Space 1999 side to it this time. Just I'll give you a quick one. You know, we do know conventions and that. I do, yeah, you do gather your moments, but there was one at Cosford one, okay. So we met Brian for the first time and everything, but I never really been around the puppets. You know, Chris King and Andrew and you know, they do the puppets and did, you know, there's nobody better. You know, there is nobody better. And I'm talking to people, right, for London. But I remember seeing the puppet cabinets at Cosford, and we all know them, and we see them on telly in the Joe 90s. One that I found amusing is that the original Steve Zodiac had been found, but he's in sort of a pose with one arm forward, one arm back, one leg forward, one arm back, one leg back, and he's on a plinth. And apparently, it'd been discovered that he'd become a bowling trophy. So they made Steve Zodiac into a bowling trophy. So they've kept him that way, the original Steve Zodiac. And then just behind that was one of the most beautiful replicas I've ever seen in my life, which was Troy Tempest in his chair in Stingray. All puppet size. And then you see what Chris and Andrew have, you know, regarding Thunderbirds and Scarlet and Joe 90, you know, Secret Service. And then when you get near them, the workmanship that's in them really does take your breath away. And I just remember seeing this gentleman with his son and daughter. They must have been about 9-year-old, 8-year-old, and they're on their knees and they're looking at cabinets at the puppets. And I just remember seeing these two kiddywinks that basically they didn't know what that world were, but it were great. And Dad's there saying, "I'll get you the DVDs when we get home. I'll get you the DVDs." But the kids' eyes were just lit up, and moments like that, you can't buy them moments.
Yeah.
You know? And then when you see Andrew's Scarlet and Joe 90, majority of, original parts and pieces and puppets, and Chris. So, whatever we can do to throw it at Manchester, we are on with. Uh, I will say that as it goes right now, that the Eagle set won't be the only set at Manchester. I'm not going to speak further on that because I don't think it's right to. But we know that something's coming and being worked on, and I can't wait to see it myself.
So that's very. So just to reiterate, the Eagle set won't be the only set at Manchester?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope. So there's a great friend of mine. Could I say what I'm about to say?
Tell you what, hold that thought, Daryl, because I wanted to mention one real quick. Just hold that thought. I just wanted to tell everybody out there that if you haven't purchased a supporting membership or a 3-day weekend pass to Manchester in order to take part in the draw that we're going to do very soon here live, you can still do so behind the scenes, and I'll make sure I'll work away in the background. I'll be seeing all that come in, and I can add you to that prize wheel. So go ahead, and you've still got some time. Sorry, Daryl, yeah, you take it away.
It's just a friend of mine, and we're not talking my command center and Elton's command center. We're not talking that. We're talking about I don't think it's been seen in public before, but it is. I don't want to spoil the announcement, but all I can say is it's going to be a really nice announcement. Okay.
Wow.
And I've always said that, the things I do, the replicas and other replicas, should never, ever, ever take precedence over originals. So, the original models are going to be there. So it's in the planning. The guys are all looking forward, and things are being done that people haven't seen before. And there's people that didn't manage, some of our guys, people like Dave Sis and Simon Rhodes, who are coming along this time. And we missed them at London, and I can't wait to see David and Simon. So it'll be wonderful. So we're working there on all in background.
But David's bringing in Alison.
Yeah, as well. So so it should be great. It should. If what's on the, if the guys do what they always do, and God bless them for it, it should be a fantastic show. And we then back up the guests and things like that. So it's So looking forward to it tremendously.
And and we should say that there is a lot of time between now and next September. So obviously people's schedules can change. Everything's sort of in flux. But of course, this is just some early preliminary speculation as to what we'd like to bring together. And it just not
with the illnesses and Scott operation and obviously recovery and all that sort of things. The aim is for me. Yes, we are there. Yes, we are doing. If it changes, then the Eagle might be there, but at the least I might not. That might be a good thing, actually. Yeah. I don't mean for me, I mean for a lot of other people.
We totally get it. It's and even from the guest and celebrity perspective, right? Things can quite often change last minute, right? So even though we announce somebody, nothing is really for sure.
Our aim, and it always has been since I spoke to you last year, 125% is we are hoping to be at Manchester.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Very
good. So and we're very lucky this time because we have to get industrial pipe benders and all sorts of things to do the handles right and everything, but it will have handles this time if it kills me. They were cast. We've had them cast in aluminium. I can't tell you the hours I've poured over the stills on catacombs and stuff, as you do, like we do with everything. but we're hoping the Eagle 6 display this time will be a lot better if we can, and the Eagle cockpit more finished. So, so that's the aim from 1st of Jan. Yeah. There won't be them gaps behind the heads this year, and there'll be a roof on that. I'm telling you, at the very least.
Well,
And the controls are virtually ready now, but we just got to get industrial pipe benders and to make that work, and make sure the gizmo works on how she folds and rises and movement. So yeah, so that's our aim this year.
it's really hard to believe that it's actually possible to improve upon what was on display in Londonderry, truly, because it was a work of art on every level. It was painstakingly, I can't imagine the number of hours put in. I can actually, and because there again, you and I talked all along the way.
I think
middle of the night.
I know when you talk to me about that, I've never worked as hard on anything. Maybe Scottish Flame Trooper weapon. I felt that throwing that a few times.
Which looked
but yeah, the Eagle set. But Firestorm, that took some doing. Firestorm, when we did Firestorm, we were really, and we were donating lots of hours, But yeah, but the cockpit, we're just trying to honor Keith. We're just trying to make it look as much as it did, as best we can. And I want to thank all the people and all their we have no fans, but the fans of space out there that have took Eagle 6 to art and are loving it. So that's wonderful for us. Them hours are trying to get it right, and Kit's just as bad. The conversations we have now, or finest details and all this business, and what's that, and what with that. And Kit has a great knowledge as well. So it's having a good time at the minute, and it's great, really. Yeah, looking forward to London. Looking forward to London, to Manchester. I beg your pardon.
Manchester. No, well, I mean that's awesome updates, my friends, and we're just so excited to have you guys back on board. And Scotty, yeah, and
it is a bit next level stuff. I'm not just saying that. From the chats I've had with the guys and what they're willing to do, and Andrew's been fantastic. He has, and Jim, and we haven't even started with it yet. But everybody's there, and some of the guys that couldn't be there last time are really trying. I know one of the guys. I don't want to say too much. I mean, one of the guys, his exhibition for Thunderbirds, and that doesn't finish till the week before. And I just said, "You're fine. If you can't make it, it's great." And he just said, "Devil for you, leave it with me."
Yeah,
just leave it with me, and I'll do what I can. So, and they don't finish. They don't finish till the week before. So that is just wonderful. The level of friendship. The level of friendship that. And the other side to it, I mean, we've also had the other discussions. Are these coming around too often? But here's the news on that one. We did them for 7. We sort of, we were doing small space as well, for Matt Irvine. And then a couple of guys just said, let's take a breather. I think we needed one, to be honest. But if you don't now look at the conventions, are they coming around too often? The sad point to that is we are starting to lose people. And London proved that, and around London. So can you have too much of a good thing? Yes, of course you can. But whilst everybody is around, we'll put it that way, and still willing, and it still is achievable, then why not? And that's it.
Even just between London and Los Angeles, and within a week, we lost both Prentice and Clifton, and it was
we lost Rosie.
Yes.
Rosie,
the week leading into London was just an incredible shock, and oh my goodness,
and the work that Rosie were putting in as well. Yeah, it just and then like you said, since then we've lost Prentice, and
I can't. I tell you, there's one thing in London that I will always be the most proud of. It was working with Suzanne to get Clifton there, and that was his first appearance at an event since the very first con, I believe, in 1978. So he only had done two, and
Anton as well. Yeah.
Boy, just to he was so amazing to finally meet in person, and we were just so grateful that he could join us.
I mean, we had guests that nobody ever thought we'd ever see coming out and things at
And
London.
Anton had a part in that too. So it was Suzanne and Anton that helped facilitate getting close.
Yeah, Anton noticed. Yeah. But the thing is, and it's just going back to what we spoke of earlier, they're not standoffish. Our guests are quite the opposite. They're willing to have a cup of tea and sit down and have 5 minutes with you. They're willing to reminisce about all sorts. They're willing to talk about the careers. They're willing to talk about, but more in a very, very relaxed atmosphere. You know, and I also think that, you know, fans of Space 1999, but not just 1999. You know, when we were doing the Undercon shows and stuff, I think our guys and girls that love these shows have grown up with them, got used to them, know everybody, and it's a very relaxed situation when you're all together, and there's plenty of smiles going on as well. It's not like anybody's just turned up and paid for a ticket. There are higher guys, hugs, kisses, and all that goes on all over, doesn't it? You know, with them. They really are pleased to see each other, you know, and that then overspills onto the weekend, and you know, but also the fans are very respectful as well, so they're not too pushy and all that sort of thing. So it just creates a wonderful atmosphere. The guests can relax, the attendees can relax, and they mingle and have breakfast together and have chats and have a pint together, a glass of wine, and you know what I mean. And it's not like other conventions I know. It's more like you're joining the weekend. You're joining the family for the weekend. It's great. It's great.
And you know, when you touched on something earlier, Daryl, that we're going to try and continue, of course, with Manchester, and that was the whole idea of the next generation of guests and inviting a lot of the family members, right? And so Christian was just one of many. I mean, Anton had his two lovely daughters there, if you recall. Catherine Schell invited family members. Of course, a guy was there with Brian.
The thing is, for that one is, those guests wouldn't think about doing that if they think they were coming to not an hostile environment, but an environment that is not settled.
It just
family members along.
That sense of being an extended family, and it was amazing to see these people come and
flipping that on its head. I mean, it was the first when I used to go to these shows. You're down with a lot fitter and things like that, but London was the first time I took my family members,
right,
you know, for the first time. Really, it's difficult for me now to leave them. There is that element in my life that I have to be there from, you know, virtually 24/7, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it was great that we could work that and allow that to happen. But boy, you know, Scotty, we've done Star Wars. We do Star Wars every year for Neil and things like that.
Yeah.
But to let Scotty off the reins, because I always have to have a third eye on him with his condition. He got so much out of London. You know, everybody was wonderful with him, Diane as well, Nikki as well. I mean, Nikki arrived the night before because we were playing football down there. Mm-hmm. You know, when I walked into the hotel, everybody's telling me about Nikki and how wonderful he is. And I'm
people knew about it.
I'm thinking, how do you not know Nikki?
I didn't know Nikki.
Yeah. So I walked into that going, okay, what's going on? What's happened here? You know, everybody knows his name. But that's the feel of it, isn't it?
The atmosphere was nice.
And that's the feel of the weekend.
The atmosphere was nice.
You know, I got to give Scott a camera and say, go around and take some favourite shots and not just be glued to me, which, you know, it was wonderful for us. Yeah. So thanks for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I bought a camcorder.
The family element is still there, and yeah, great stuff.
well, and it also sort of lends to what you and I have talked about several times about, space and Anderson in general. I mean, we need that new generation of fans to come along and sort of carry the
It's like
torch.
anything else. If you don't, you know me with my steam trains. I mean, I've done steam trains since I was 7 years old. But if you don't leave that back door open for the fans so the younger generation can start walking through it,
Yep.
then it becomes a dinosaur. It becomes a cult. It becomes, something that once was. The exhibitions that have been on recently, again, I'm one of them. I don't care what happens as long as if it carries on the name of Anderson and all the terrificness, and it introduces new people to that terrificness. You know, I mean, CGI, I class it as clever cartoons. You know, it has its purpose. It's wonderful, but physical model work, all that sort of stuff. CGI has its place, like lots of things do. New things will come along always, but just like, the areas and had to do the first time and all the rest of it, you have to find your place and then you have to make it work, so yeah, it's just, there's a presence with the old model work, with the puppets, yeah, we all know the puppets, but they all have character and they're all great. And when you see them, like I said, when you get a chance to see them in reality, wow, they take your breath away. So, so the more that we can introduce that sort of feeling into the younger end,
Yeah, absolutely. And if Manchester can help on that, we do open things up. I mean, I'm excited. I was never the biggest Super Mario Nation fan myself, right? I preferred live action, but I'm really, really excited to see a lot of these puppets in person. It's just, it's truly a lost art form.
I mean, Andrew has one there, and he always looks at me. Not Andrew, the puppet. And that's the one we call Smiley Joe. Andrew calls him Smiley Joe. And it's the Joe 90. He's in his red suit, and but Andrew, I mean, he always does us proud, and Andrew has his time and his job, and it takes up a lot of his life and everything. But he's so generous at bringing things out, and Jim and everything. I thought Diana felt
everybody goes above and beyond. Take another 10 seconds here, and I just want to bring up a couple of images here on those storyboards if anybody still wants to take advantage. We're going to be drawn for these live in just a few minutes here, guys. So if you haven't got your supporting membership or 3-day pass for Manchester just yet, you've still got time. So you can get those last-minute entries in there. We'll get you on the prize wheel. So essentially, if you go to www.space199950years.com, you'll be able to purchase either a supporting membership to Manchester, which I'd like to point out is also fully upgradable to a full weekend pass down the road. You've got until March 1st to upgrade. You'll get one entry in the two. Yep.
Sorry. Because I know Jim purchased a lot of Brian's original storyboards and things like that. We had them on show at Cosford and Andacon too. Jim took them out and stuff. If you've never seen them, they're wonderful. I mean that. If they're Brian's own as well, I think somewhere, then yeah, you're in for a treat if you join in with them, because they're wonderful. Yeah,
they're a piece of history, Daryl. You're absolutely right. And although these were certainly used by Brian and the team, I thought they were actually hand drawn and colored by him. But Chris Trice had come along and said that that's maybe not quite accurate.
Brian did some, I believe. Brian did some, I believe. But just to say that were Brian's. Maybe not. Best person to ask that.
But still certainly production used, and you can find pictures of Brian standing in front of a wall of these.
Certainly production storyboards,
Yes. A piece of history, and you've got just a few minutes to get in on the draw. So, long story short, buy a supporting membership, get one entry, buy a full weekend pass, and you'll actually get 3 entries and 3 spots on our prize mill coming up. So, I just wanted to remind everybody of that out there, that you've still got a chance to get in. And actually, I've got a close-up picture here of them. Give me 1 second. Where did they go here? I think that's them. Yep. Yeah, just beautiful, Daryl. Like I said, just
yeah.
And even to have the little mini eagle drawn in there and colored is something pretty special for all the Eagle fans out there.
They do. I know Jim's been thinning them out lately. I know Simon's picked some up and things. All the main collectors have picked some up. But the main thing about that is, and why I'm saying that is, it means they stay in the family, and it still is there for the guys to show another day. So for somebody to own a piece of that is wonderful, you know, because I know the guys, and that's one of the main reasons for the guys. You know, it's they're not trying to be selfish or anything, but they're just the programs were made here, and they're trying to preserve and collect and save things that were made here, so that generations can still see them, and that's the wonderful thing about them. But what I remember about the storyboards is last time I saw them is that all the colours are bright and they're terrific items. They are.
Yeah, no, they haven't faded at all, and they're just as vibrant as they were 50 years ago. Believe it or not.
Anybody wants to see them, by the way, I don't know if Jim's got them on his photographs. Any friends of Jim Winch, but Jim did show them at Cosford one. I think at Cosford 2 also. He put a lovely display on with storyboards. So they might be, if I think Martin came over, so Martin might have pictures of them on Catacombs. But if you've never seen the storyboards before, I suggest you go look at them, because they are the working storyboards of the episode that's being done. By the people that were doing it. So you can't get better than that, really.
They truly are. And of course, the nice thing with this little raffle promotion that we've come up with is that this gives everybody a chance, right? I mean, when you look at what normally goes to auction, and we know how high some of the bidding can get in auction, right? Sure. You really don't have a chance unless you got deep pockets, right? So this is the chance to actually own an original piece without breaking the bank. So very cool opportunity. Everybody out there.
The flip side that you must also remember is what was used for the program is it. There's no new stuff coming out. We can replicate all we want, but you can't take away from the originals. The originals are it in whatever form. So when you get a chance to be, I always find when I'm around originals, especially Jim and Andrew and everyone, the Martins, again, you don't really you sort of get the work that's gone into them. You know, when they're on screen, you see them and they're moving and they're doing what they do and they're doing what they were built for. But when you actually get to see a physical, actual that were built, you know, they were amazing. Every single piece of it. I think I've said this about the sets as well, because you know you can have a fleeting shot and it's nothing, and you're talking and watching a character, but you know the work that went in, you know, even the letter set that was put all over everything. Somebody had to do it. Somebody had to sit down and put all that letter set there. The smallest things, you know. Never mind find the item or buy the item or change the item or make this design and do this room this way, but you had all the incidental stuff, and all that was. Some of it were altered, some of it were changed, some of it were, but letter set all over the place. You know, tell me.
The attention to detail. I know
detail,
you and the whole family were just scouring these screenshots from every episode, every angle, and you guys nailed it, boy. I tell you.
Oh, thanks for that. The graphs, you know, the work that went into them graphs on that wall, you know, and I didn't. Nothing I do is like photocopied or this, that, other. You know, basically, them graphs were hand drawn out with the black felt in a size. You know, put a border on, and then detailed up, and then do what I could, and then make imagery off that, and then on acetate, and then there's about 3 or 4 layers to get that graph to do what we want it to do to make like the original one, yeah. And and I sort of put a comparison. Even I were a bit blown away because I did put a comparison shot up at the back wall, and then what we got, and we weren't too far away at all. I was quite pleased with it. By me, yeah. So my living room doesn't look like that anymore, thank God.
It did for a long time. Boy,
yeah, it's
boy, she was right knee deep into this creation in her own living room. Just remarkable.
We've done it to it once before with Command Center Wilton.
Yeah,
The thing is about my living room, I'm more than 8 foot tall. With a beam and everything. And when we did Command Center, it was quite funny because I said to Di, because they said, where can we put it up? And I said, I don't know, can we get it in the living room? So that day, Diane actually, if we wanted a cup of tea, because it's an L shape, Diane had to physically leave the house, walk round, come in the back door, make a cup of tea, walk round and bring it back through the front door because there was no way she could walk to the house because set up. But yeah, she's been good to me. I love her to bits and always will, so it is, yeah, but she's so, yeah, I'm blessed with Diane. She's
Listen, there's a comment up on screen. This is very interesting. So Simon Jones is actually saying, I predict there'll be some piece of the original production on the first actual moon base as a memento. And I'm going to run away for 30 seconds and come back.
Okay. I need my glasses for that. I can't read it. It's so small. I predict what? I predict there will be some piece of the original production on the.
Of course, barring my background fading things out, I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but Simon, this is an actual computer panel that was used on the set from Command Center, not a replica, and so there's been a few of these floating around for several years, and I've actually gone to the.
If I remember rightly, when Jim purchased Command Center, this is what I'm going to lead on to actually earlier on, because me and Hilton, this looks good on camera, okay? Our Command Center that we built, our replica.
Yeah.
But Jim fetched a couple of pieces, the original screen used Command Center, and I know he let 3 pieces go. I know that's one of them. Yeah, I think there were 3 that went. I think Dallas has a piece, and I don't know if Simon got an original piece.
Stephen Redder, because he had his on display in Los Angeles back in September. So I know Stephen Redder got one. I got one. Dallas and
you got one, Dallas. And I know that when Jim purchased, if I remember correctly, Jim purchased from 2 separate places. He was trying to put it back together, trying to gather it back together. So Jim's done some work on the original last year. He's let it go. I'm not going to say any more. All right, we'll leave that there floating in the air. But what I will say is, I was really, really, really surprised, because when we make our sets, they've got to be built in such a way to be taken out and erected and put down. Obviously, the sets down at L&M stages were for screwing to the floor. They were 3x2 and all that sort of stuff. I still live in 3x2 land and 4x1, inches. And I remember going up to original Command Center with Jim, and I thought, ours doesn't look nothing like this. and I'd looked at it and I thought, you can't lift it. You can't physically lift a piece of it. Right. And I got really perplexed about this, thinking all the work we put in the other, and we're close, but we're not that close, banana shaped close. So So seeing Command Center for the first time, I'm saying no more on that, but it sort of blew us away a bit. Yeah. So when you see Pam Rose walking up and Pam's doing a bit with the buttons and everything else, yeah, it's you get more of a feel for it. Ours looks great for photography. It does the purpose we built it for, to actually go out and people could sit at command center desk and have a picture took, and it was a bit more easier to do things like that then. But it did what we did, to have a bit of fun with some set work, just to give people an idea, what the actors and actresses were walking onto, just to give them some sense of scale and some sense of feel that, this is a Sorella lamp, this is a chair, this is a desk, this is a lump, this is and it just gives you a better idea when you see something in front of your face. And then the eagle came along, didn't it? So yeah, but we're just trying to do a bit better job on that and make it as accurate as we can. Yeah, will we get it right? Will it be 100%? No, it never will be. But if we can only get that real feel, and carry on what we've done and make it work that way, we're happy at that.
Well, it's interesting. We talked about a couple other famous science fiction properties, Daryl and Scott. But nowadays, of course, you can go to Star Wars Land at Disneyland and see all these things, 1-to-1 scale, life size, and of course with Star Trek, there's a very famous set tour close to where Roy lives in Ticonderoga, New York, where James Cawley recreated all the original series sets, and it's just these timeless worlds that were a part of our childhood growing up. You can now
last time I did Small Space, Jason did that museum then, and he just says, "When's your Eagle cockpit going to be ready?" And I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I've just bought one at Star Trek cockpit sets." Yeah. And I wanted to put it on at Earl's Court at London, and we were going to invite all the Trekkie guests over, and he said, "I'll get all the Space 1999 guests over if you can be finished in time." And I think that was the last time I spoke to Jason, so I need to speak to him again. But yeah, it's amazing what's out there and can be seen. But if anybody sees anything like that, even the replicas, I've seen X-wings about and all that sort of thing.
It takes your breath away. It really does.
It's that, I mean, you can see them and then you walk away, but the flip side to that is if the build's right, the work that goes into a build, can you imagine putting an X-wing together in your back garden? You know what I'm saying? And you're trying to get it right as well. It takes some doing. You can't get one on Amazon. Put it that way. You know what I mean? It's so you've got to be, And I think to even come up with the idea in the first place, you've to have had a drink or two. So yeah. But we got committed. You asked me to resurrect the Eagle, and I said that I'll build it from scratch. We'll make a first start. That way, because what I was doing 7 years ago had gone out my head. And so yeah. But there's other stuff as well. One little thing I'm going to try to do. It was a little bit of nonsense, but I thought we thought it went down hilariously. Because we did the television wall back at Pod. So we put that together pretty quick. We'll make it a lot better for when we come next time.
Yeah.
But the one bit of fun we did have. So if anybody brings their outfits with them and they've got their shirt on and everything, is Kit went behind and Andrew took a picture of Kit on the TV screen as though he was reading the Alpha News. So I think we might have just put a chair behind a piece of that, and if anyone wants a photo like that, we might try and do that again for people.
Hey,
they can put the cell on telly, So we'll computer panels them. So we'll see. Yeah. So we're trying to inject a bit of fun this time as well, if we can.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, some very, very exciting things yet to come in Manchester, and like I said earlier, it's just hard to believe that it's going to get any better, because London was, the perfect event for many, many people, the perfect weekend, and the fact that we're all strong. Better.
Sorry, go on. Sorry, Juan.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say the fact that everybody's looking to surpass what we did. Very, very exciting times.
Yeah, I mean, if we can add some Super Mario Nation, when we suggested that, like I say, it's anniversary this year, but it's really along the lines of as well. If for anybody that's not been around those puppets, And I'm saying, Andrew had been Captain Blue. When we were at Skyber, Chris King had just made him a Captain Blue, that long blue coat.
Yeah.
But you're not on telly. They're there in front of you. Captain Blue is right there in front of you, and them sorts of things. And Andrew's gracious with what he brings. So I can't tell him to bring anything. Andrew will bring what he wants to bring, but he brings some fantastic stuff, and so does Jim and the rest of the guys. Again, I'm going to put a quick call out. I will ring him before time, but on every show virtual that we've ever done, Martin Wiley's always been part of the guys. And
Martin, yes.
And again, Martin, before that word Brexit came into being, Martin used to have a lot of his models in UK. So, it was easy for him to bring things to show. But it'd be lovely if Martin can come and join us as well, because Martin Wiley of Cascum site. Yeah, it'd be great to have Martin along again.
No, for sure. Martin's lovely.
I want to thank him and all, because he, I got a phone call. Yeah, I got a phone call saying Martin's done a section on Eagle 6. So, okay, really? And I went on there, and and he's a bit of a tease. I think his last words were, "I'll tell them honestly." Right? Okay, Martin, thank you. But he did the lovely write up, and I want to thank Martin for that on Catacombs. And he took his pictures, and I think he was also involved in the CGI version of the cockpit as well, because he wanted some info on the chair size and all that, which luckily we have an original. So not an original series, but an original chair. So nice to see it, Martin.
Worked very closely with a fellow named Andrew Novink or Novins, and we actually presented some of Andrew's work on one of the virtual events that we did back in, I think, 2022. It's just remarkable, like what these fans, all of us as fans, have put together down through the years to recreate these experiences, and not only in real life but in VR. It's quite remarkable. And even I'll say one other thing about, and to circle back to the Eagle build, Daryl. I think I'm going to make an official statement here. I think a lot of people would agree with me. So prepare yourself. But all of the work that you and your family put into that Eagle 6 set was more accurate, more screen accurate, more realistic, and gave you more of a sense of what it was like to be on the set 50 years ago in 1975. Your work was more accurate than Pinewood Studios.
Yeah, okay.
I said it.
I'll let the people judge that one. There ain't no way I'm going up against Pinewood Studios, and I thank you for that.
And it's not right, but I just want credit where credit is due. They did a fantastic job with Jeffrey's Eagle set, but I think when it comes right down to it, the level of detail and accuracy, yours by far is the winner.
Fairness, if people are reading that into things, and in fairness to the other Eagle, there was two. Yeah, we know that. But they're doing a job. They're paid to do a job.
Yep.
But they didn't. They don't. A fan studies. A fan sits there for hours. When you're building something for someone, you don't have that luxury. And like us, we've picked things up over years. Not over 5 minutes. So we had that added luxury on our build. And I'll be honest with you, I constantly go back 2 hours. I'm always reassessing.
Mm-hmm.
But we were lucky enough to have known items. And the minute you do that, the minute you have some known measurements, that helps you greatly,
Yeah.
So if people are, that's lovely, and I take the compliment. But at the end of the day, mine was for a totally different purpose. I have the luxury of going through that Eagle and going through that Eagle and going through that Eagle, and people, even one button top, has to be rounded off. You try rounding off corners on perspex but every button in there has the two rounded corners, all the colour button bottoms, you know, and all these things have to be done, and they all have to be perfect. And ours is a lot. Ours isn't laser cut. Ours isn't done by machinery. Ours is done on a sander with your hand, and more, I would imagine, more to akin to what the original might have been built like. And Andrew came out with a statement with me because, you know, and you know, I got plenty of, because, you know, we were still up against it. We were so virtually building it. At the moment we put it into a van to get it close as we could. We got it down there on the Thursday. We were trying to, and I really wanted that second half of that top back wall finished behind the heads. But when you run to a point where you've just no energy left to pick up a paintbrush type thing, that's time to put it down and say, well, we've gone as far as we can for now. Yeah. But
Take a break. Yep.
it's lovely that's lovely that people have enjoyed, and I'll put it that way. I'm really made up. We're all really made up that people are enjoying it. Probably next year at some time I'll start up a little website. You know, as ever, we take about 3,000 pictures. You know, we're gluing something down and there's 18 baked bean tins on it and all this sort of stuff. So if anybody's interested in that at some point, you know, I'm not one for being on net. I'll be honest with you, I haven't really seen a lot of what's gone on in 12 months because I didn't have a 12 months before me. I had my head down. So, but yeah, I've seen one or two which were lovely. There was a beautiful remark I did see on Eagle Transporter. And they said, you know, imagine sitting in an eagle. How did they phrase it? Imagine sitting in an eagle. Well, Devil Simmons did that for fans at London show last year. And that was lovely. No, we can't do that at every show. It all depends on the criteria. It was just to spur the moment, but with the amount of people and just being on a Sunday morning first thing, we thought we could just do it for a couple of hours and see, you know. And again, you know, there's one lady down there that sort of started that off. One Italian contingent, I was going to say earlier. She just, the filming had finished, and she just sat there and she's looking at the set. You know, a beautiful young, you know, lady. And she's got tears coming down her. She actually had physical tears. And I just said, "Are you all right, love? Are you okay?" And she just said, "Yeah." And I said, Are you sure? Are you all right?" "Yeah." And she said, "'Tis beautiful." And that way, that were, you know, straight to heartstrings. And I just said, "Do you want to sit in it?" And she sort of put her hand on the chest and said, "What, who, me?" And I said, "Yeah, you. Do you want to sit in it?" And then I offered her a spacesuit, and she went to another level. And but I knew the minute I put somebody in it, took the ropes away, I thought, okay, you know, yes, I'm used to crowd control with DJing and all that sort of stuff, but we've got to be careful. But could we and should we? And you know, I'd had thoughts about it earlier, you know, because again, you've got to do the minute you're in public domain, it's health and safety reasons. But at the end of the day, they're sitting on a chair. So I thought they're not climbing over, they're not doing this, that, other. We'll see, you know. And I'd have stopped it at any moment if I had to do. But also, if people are sensible, and then we'll see, you know. So can't promise that, you know, and I'd love to do it all day and every day for everyone, but it's just those criteria. But if there's a chance, we will see, you know.
But you know what? Even before that, well, I think the exhibit room opens Saturday morning, and even before you'd sort of open it up, I mean, to just stand there and take it in from back behind a rope or a barrier, and take those pictures, it was enough in and of itself, Daryl, right? I mean, it's such a beautiful piece of work that I mean, regardless of whether or not you had the opportunity to be there, just
I had people coming up and they're pressing the finger on the tiles on the side.
Yeah.
And people said, "I thought they were plastic."
Yeah.
You know, and well, no, everyone's padded. And you know, when I was doing it originally with Hilton, because Hilton said there about 3 pads in there, and I said, "No, there's not. You know, there's too much bulbous. They're too bulbous. They're too under strain." And you know, we used to headbang like that until we got so basically in each one of them pads, you've 7 layers of wadding. You've then a piece of vinyl. and then you've a PVC coating. So you're on to 7 to 9, glued onto an oil board and shaped and sized. And I remember Scotty and me and Diane sitting here at the table with my glue gun on every one of them, and you're bending 4 sides and you're burning your finger on glue gun and cursing the world. And that's just for one tile and all that sort of silliness. But I'm hoping that the overall look showed what they were using, what Keith had said, and mainly important, of the time. Perspex was new of the time. Bubble wrap was new of the time. All them sorts of things. And to them, it were all new products and how they used them. And with Space, if I remember right, it was the biggest ever budgeted sci-fi show. Nothing had gone past that, what it were given. But the workload, what they produced was great. It's sometimes it can be harder to replicate, because you're jumping in somebody else's mind and trying to think it through. When they're doing it, they've got a premise. We want this. You to make it look like this way. Do your thing. When you're replicating work, then you have to put your head inside their head. And did they use this? And how did that go around there? And how did this do that? And I was blessed with Rachel as well. I mean, Rachel, especially on dentistry, we had one dentistry, and that second dentistry, I just looked at the frame and the shape, and I thought, because we'd looked, Simon rang me ages ago and said, "Do you know there's one on eBay, another Eagle chair?" And obviously I'd sort of come out of it for a while. Hilton had gone doing, and no fallout about. We just he gone doing something else, and that it left a void. And I thought, well, I don't need one. I don't need one now. Boy, did I wish I'd have bought it, but I didn't get it. I didn't think at the time. And Simon put me on. He rung me at 7:15 in the morning to tell me there's no legal trail in Simon Roads. So we found that. Jed, our good mate Jed, and love. Jed went all the way from here. He flew up to Scotland. We bought that Eagle, that was second chair, for £12 in English money. And then Rachel worked a magic, and I worked a bit of magic, and the seatbelts worked a bit of magic, and there's not too much between them. So I'm quite pleased on how that worked, that second chair. We do want another Ritter if we ever come across one, but yeah. It
only cost £12.
£12. I said to Jed, if it's wrong, we can scrap it.
See, but it was more in shipping because of the weight of those things. They were unbelievably heavy.
Yeah, but I'm lucky enough. I've got a Jed. Jed went up. He didn't even tell me he'd gone. He rung me from Scotland to say, I'm here.
He picked it up.
Right. And he went and picked it up, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what he does. He does it. He's, every home should have one.
Michael J. Dundee's got a dog. We've got a Jed.
Yeah, we have Jed. Jed's brilliant. Scott's flame trooper outfit. I got wind it had come up. There's apparently now that's only 2 in the world. There's only 2 flame trooper cosplayers in the world, and Scott's one.
That was surprising, wasn't it?
There were 9.
We thought there were more.
I got wind a few weeks ago. There's only 2 in Scott's one. So Jed went all the way to Devon for that. He didn't tell me. He's on his way back and said, "We stay up till 3 a.m." I said, "What for?" He said, "I've something to drop off." And he just knocked on the door, and here it is. Scott's suit. I've been and picked it up. So yeah. So the guys around us are lovely. And it'd be great to see Lois Madsen. I mean, Lois, my good friend Lois. Lois is coming over and joining us this next time as well. So I think it's going to be more of a party. I think there's a party going on next time. I think everybody will have a smile on their face, hopefully, and we'd like to be there.
It's going to be amazing. I want to bring up one quick graphic here, just in case anybody out there isn't aware. We've already actually, right out of the gates, announced 4 very special guests will be in attendance in Manchester next year. Of course, Mr. Nick Tate, Mr. Anton Phillips, the lovely Suzanne Peterson, and Carolyn Seymour, who was incredible in Los Angeles. We're just so thrilled to have Carolyn back and to be hosting.
Love to meet her. We haven't met Carolyn, past conventions.
Lovely.
That's what was so wonderful about last year, Warren. There were lots of guests that we haven't seen before.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they joined us, and that was lovely to be around them. It was lovely.
It's just Julian and Isla came to London. So many people. Jack Slaff.
Jess Conrad came.
Conrad,
wonderful.
Hug. And the list was on and on.
Yeah. Scott had a good time with John Hugg.
I did.
I'd seen John a couple of times before our convention. Our exhibition shows for ASA. But what a lovely man. I think they were all lovely. I wish I'd have got more chance to sit down. I do get a bit, what can you ask them and what can you say to them? Because I'm a builder, I'll look at the other stuff, the stuff that doesn't move, but it was lovely to have a few conversations. And they were, we did speak to, they were lovely with Scott as well, so you had a great time, didn't you?
I did. I absolutely did.
Yeah. So he loves it just as much as Star Wars now, and I'm not guilty. I'm not guilty. I haven't said you have to like this. So,
after all those late night phone calls, it was, I don't know, it was the middle of the night here and early morning there, or vice versa, whenever we were talking.
I remember speaking to you at 4 a.m. I remember one or two of them.
I remember changing the hotels and then landing on the Manutos and now last minute.
And then hotel
and I closed the word across the road. I closed the word.
But in fairness, the way that room worked when we were there was brilliant. And to have all the guests in the centre and. Again, it's a free and easy feel. It's not like you're walking in with loads of ropes and walk this way and queue here for 20 minutes. It's just nothing like that sort of feel. It's just a wonderful feel. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because that was all very last minute, and we found out that even in Los Angeles last year or this year, that you try and plan and you look at layouts and floor plans and details and try and figure out what rooms are going to be the best. But I'll tell you that the last 2 times out, everything has been sort of upended at the last minute, because once you get there, right, and get on the ground, you suddenly start saying, "Oh, well, yeah, this room's okay." But
I had Undercon 1, as I said before, when we did Jamie Anderson's Undercon 1. And I'd done that show, and Mike Dando were with me and Jamie, and they're at that end, and they're saying, "Well, we're going to do this and do that," and I said, "Right, okay, can we sign that off now?" And then day after, it's no, well, we're just going to do this and we're just going to do that, because things change. It's nobody being one way or the other. It's just things change, and well, we're going to do this now, and what do you think to that? And we tried signing it off time after time after time. But I remember when I walked in, and I've said this before to you, we walked through them doors that day, and I just tried ringing up lads, and that's when I said, bring more, because the room sizes that we had
at the last minute. But I'm glad we did, and I'd like to try and replicate. So that was sort of something that I took from the larger shows that I've been to, Comic-Cons and Showmaster events, right, where the celebrities are in the same hall as some of the vendors and exhibitors, and I'd really like to try and do the same thing in Manchester.
It's a massive job to put a show on. It's a massive job, and I remember that first one at Cosford, that we were at. It was wonderful, and Chris King had organised that with Karen at Cosford, who because it's a military aerodrome besides a museum. And Chris said, D, Brian's coming. And I said, Brian who? He said, Brian Johnson. Well, we always thought Brian would never be out. He was a name that we all knew and loved, but would we ever see him? And I remember, and then he said, no, we're going to put him with Sylvia, so you don't need to look to him. And then all of a sudden I would putting Alpha together with Jim, the original Alpha. We were laying all the pieces of buildings out that Phil Ray had saved and trying to put it in order, as we did. And then I just three pairs of feet. And when I looked up, it was Annie, Karen and Brian. And I remember seeing Brian thinking, because Karen just said, here's Brian, Devil, can you look after him? And I thought, first thought it went through my head, I thought I weren't looking to you, But then we met Sylvia. We had a great moment with Andre Beauchamp in Green Room. I took Andre down for a coffee.
Mhm.
And Sylvian D walks in first, and then Brian. And I've never seen anybody go gobsmacked before, but Andre went gobsmacked, and for a while we had great fun with that. But this is how it is. So you know, when we were doing Cosford, we're under a Vulcan bomber. I mean, who else could have said they've just exhibited right under Bombay doors of a Vulcan bomber? You know, and the thing is, that the Bombay doors open and they've got this loop tape of a group captain talking. So all day, which were fine for about an hour, but when you stood under there for about 8 hours, I felt like I was in the Air Force because the group captain's giving out the orders, right, and everything jogs away. And but yeah, and we put command centres. Seriously, we put command centre under wing. And Jim's, big moon buggy, what he had then, it's now at Milton Keynes. I think we had about a foot under the wingspan to get command centre in, thinking, oh, can we get it up, and then again, brilliant moments like you always get. Brian just walked up. I remember Dave Cisco in white because Jim said, Brian hasn't seen Eagle 1 yet. So David were at the top of the room. We were sort of put midway down. So we said, come on, we'll go up, and Brian wanted to see Eagle 1.
Sure.
And, and again, when we talk about memories, so David's there, he's restored Eagle 1, looking splendid. And Brian's talking, and Jim's there, and I've then photographs, and people have probably, seen him as, Adam or whatever. But Brian just walked up, and, he just put his fingers, like he would have done a million times for filming. He just put his fingers exactly, knew where to put them, lifted the model up, and Dave went white. Because, and then to get, yeah. And David, yeah. So, but brilliant moments, you couldn't get a better accolade than that.
Amazing.
David owned it, and Brian went up and just thought, and I don't even remember Brian saying, can I do this? He went on to automatic pilot. He just went up to the model, recognized it straight away, and just went through that motion, and it was fantastic. And a 44-inch Eagle, I mean, for them that haven't been around a 44-inch Eagle, they're not a light thing,
No.
all the brasswork body and the pod and the leg pods and everything. They used to fly them down, 344-inch filming miniatures. They used to fly them down on tungsten wires and that, and crash them into Fuller's Earth and all that sort of stuff. But it's, when you get around them, they are something special. And that's all I'm trying to say again. The puppets, I'd never been around them, but they certainly took my breath away. So it'd be a nice inclusion. Not a distraction, but I think a nice inclusion.
Absolutely, yeah. For all the people out there, I mean, just to sort of reassure you all, I mean, space is still going to be the focus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
90,
and this isn't that the other Anderson items on display are going to take away in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But let's have some fun. Like even from the guest perspective, you mentioned the UFO con that happened a few weeks back. I'd love to have a couple of UFO guests there. I think and we quite often have two different.
Aisha. I mean, I met Aisha with Pam. Where was that? Was that Cosford too? But I know Jim had a great time with Aisha down at. So and Aisha's lovely. She's lovely. And she's Jim had a great time down there with her. She's great.
There's one lady I would love to be able to invite to Manchester, and she would sort of cover both lanes, if you will, and that's Sue Jameson. She was in UFO as well as Dragon's Domain, right? So there's people like that that we could bring that would sort of be representing multiple IPs at the same time.
Yeah, they're lovely. Gabrielle Drake. I mean, I've never seen Gabrielle. A lot of the guys have, it'd be lovely to meet Gabriella if she's out and about.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But again, going back to the Anderson shows, and the guest stars. I mean, when you start looking at space and the guest stars you had, when you're going in Joan Collins level and all that sort of thing, Brian Blessed, and you up to great Julian, Julian Glover, when you get to people like that have sort of, they're household names, aren't they? There's no other way of putting it. They've done that much, and it's great that they've been in space and UFO. So So that again, with things happening like that, and if it's you can say same but different, but you can also say same but better, because it opens it up for everybody to get that extra enjoyment, or maybe avenues that they don't follow. We all know that UFO was pre-space. We all know the reasons why. But to be around I helped Jim out a few years ago. He did a convention. I think it was Sheffield or Derby. Uh, he took the Jeep down there when he first had it restored, and I went down helping him for a day. Uh, and it was purely UFO, but it had a great turnout and had a great following, and they all had a fantastic time. And another UFO fan that's massively known is Paolo Malgotti in Italy. Paolo came over. He fetched some original. He'd met Ed and yeah, things like that. So just great. It's great.
Hey, Daryl, I just want to touch on again the fact that we're just about ready to wind up here. We've done really well, my friend. Thank you for joining in today. Just last call for those early bird tickets that will actually get you entered into a draw for a couple of storyboards here. So head on over to www.space199950years.com and acquire your supporting membership for one entry into the draw, or a weekend pass will give you 3 entries. Just so everybody knows, the current prices, early bird pricing, that's going to actually be in effect till the end of December. So you don't have to worry about that. But as of January 1, these current prices will increase. But for the draw today here in just a few minutes, that's, of course, wrapping up virtually as we speak. So anybody out there last minute, I wanted to give a shout out to Mr. Martin Bend, who actually, I saw his purchase come through. And Martin, we've added you to the wheel of winners here. So you're going to be included in that draw in just a few minutes. What I'd like to do is, Daryl, there's actually one other thing that I'd like to cover and discuss with people out there today. I touched on it a couple weeks back, and you'll be well.
Good luck to the winner. Good luck to the winner who owns that, because they've got a lovely piece.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody out there, and thank you for your support with all things Manchester thus far. Daryl, you also recall that back in London there was another special presentation that I was grateful to be a part of, and that was a little. Of course, we had an alternate version of Breakaway that we screened on Breakaway Day, and it was followed up by a little coda sequence. A little teaser, if you will. You'd mentioned earlier in the broadcast the work that a number of people, including Kit Bevan and Andrew, helped out in regards to the famous Message from Moonbase Alpha fan film that was out about 25 years ago. And so this new little coda sequence, and we're going to run it here in just a second, sort of tease that there could still be more to the story that may be forthcoming in regards to the inhabitants of the former Moonbase Alpha, who've been living, of course, on Terra Alpha for the last few years. But there was some, Johnny Byrne back 25 years ago was smart enough to sort of plant a seed within that small little script for Message from Moonbase Alpha, saying that the moon would be returning on a slingshot course, of course, roughly 25 years later, which leads us to conveniently, basically where we're at now today. I'm going to run this little teaser because you know what? I mean, there's been a lot of talk and speculation as to where this is going to go. And just so everybody knows, this is still ongoing. It's been a long process as well. But this teaser I'm going to run is actually a special edition of things. So there's a couple of changes over and above what we did for London. And part of this was because I was really trying and working with actually our good friends over at Anderson Entertainment to have this teaser trailer included on the new Breakaway 4K disc release coming out. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we did put together a special edition here. I want to run it, and I want everybody to just be aware. Just stick into the very, very end credits here, and there's some additions that were thrown in there, sort of. Tongue-in-cheek, I'll say, just a couple of fun little things there. But we'll run the trailer, and then we'll talk a little more in a moment about what to expect come 2026 with the, of course, it's called Return to Moonbase Alpha. So we'll lead into that. You guys watch till the very, very end. I'm sure you'll get a kick out of it. And we'll come back and we'll premiere a new poster or graphic in regards to Return to Moonbase Alpha as well, okay?
Okay.
And here we go.
Status report, Dr. Robert Mathias recording. September 13th, 1999. A tragic day in history that changed all our lives forever. Exactly 50 years ago today. While our first 25 years were spent wandering the vastness of space, the remainder of that time has been spent here on Terra Alpha. And with many of us divided on whether or not we should have settled here in the first place. Although we've faced many challenges, we've adapted and grown into a thriving community once again. In the last few years, we've even discovered remnants of an ancient civilization buried beneath the surface. In a few months' time, the moon will be returning. Its slingshot trajectory will bring it just close enough for reconnaissance, but sadly, for the last time. After that, it'll be hurled even deeper into the cosmos, likely never to return. We don't know where the moon's been or what it's encountered in all that time. But recently, a few of us have made a very hard decision. We're going back. We've chosen to continue the journey along with our families. What mysteries and wonders await us? We'll find out soon enough, together. It's hard to believe, but after all these years, we're going back to Moonbase Alpha.
Yeah, very good.
Very good. There we go. So, yeah, I put together that fun little ending there for everybody. Yeah. No eagles were harmed during the filming of this production. No eagles were harmed. I love it.
Go on.
That's something. Warren.
Yes.
Go on.
With all these credits you have, did Roy have a hand in it, or was it all invented by you?
No, that is...
Good, that's really good, that bit.
Yeah.
We get your point.
Yeah, I remember on Friday night, because we watched that on the Friday night when we got down to London, didn't we, on the Friday
Yeah, so that was tacked on to the end of Breakaway. That's why I was hoping to get it out in the release, but they're just these 4K discs. They take up so much space capacity on the disc. There just wasn't room, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just so everybody knows out there, I mean, this is still a work in progress, and actually, we're really excited to announce we had a meeting in Los Angeles about this. So I just want to bring this guy up as well to answer your question, Scotty. This was, and I've never been one to like. Toot my own horn. It's like I've done what I've done out of love for the fandom, and
Okay,
There was a lot of things that people were saying about just the fact that, with a lot of these fan related efforts, right? You can actually literally buy your own internet movie database credit, right? A lot of these Kickstarters and things like that, which I completely completely devalues the idea of getting credit for something, right?
I'm along that ilk, internet movie database. I think it should. Well,
so that was long story short. That was sort of my little.
I prefer it to be people that work on the production.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, I only did that just for a good laugh. And it was a lot of work. Of course, Anton was wonderful in that delivery. And Dale, you mentioned Kit Bevan. So, I mean, just so everybody knows moving forward, I mean, what we have sort of planned, and there's a number of people involved.
I've already. I have a general gist.
So there's a couple things that Kit may be involved with. I will say that, if things really work out well, of course, we'd love to have maybe even the Eagle set be a part of this project, right? We'll have to see how it plays out and pans out. But
that's the thing for me, because with Operation coming up and things like that.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking of coming out the storage room in around March.
Yeah.
So, because I really, when I took this storage on, and we were very lucky. When we came back from London, this storage landed at his feet the same day. We managed to get straight in there. But the idea with the storage I were in was to erect in there and basically work in there. But it sort of soon changed because it's real the office block type things. And I didn't really feel comfortable at banging and hammering and drilling amongst that. So we've kept it on, but I'm looking and thinking that we'll be changing it around March time. But then after March, it'll be easier if I can just erect as she's going up, and then we can build to it,
Add on, basically, finish what's already there.
So, and it should come on a lot quicker than we have been. But
that way it's more complete.
Warren, who knows? We're fans. We go with it. I've always said especially space. We're so lucky. I mean, you don't really get to see the original Star Wars ships. They're all ILM at George's house. You know what I mean? We're very lucky with space that our guys are so generous at showing up to the pub. Love doing so, mate. They love the pub to see them. So it's all good. It's all such a good thing, So I love it,
And this popped up, guys. So in answer to Steve's question there, so what was for lunch on the set? I want to point out that they, just so everybody knows out there, and Daryl, you and I have discussed this. I catered true, authentic, crispy Canadian side bacon. Bacon prepared properly, crisp.
Just stop that there. You remember my trade as a butcher. You do know that, don't you?
Oh, I know.
I weren't always a DJ. That came along during and after, But but I wouldn't mind a bit of that bacon myself right now. But
and so and before we get to the next step here, guys, so we're going to be drawing here right away, and we got a lot of people joining today. I haven't verbally said hello to everybody, but of course, David actually, this David's out there, Steve Todd's out there, Nick McCarty's out there, Simon Jones, Andy Tucker, Micah's out there, Micah Marauder, of course, Mark, Nicholas Lamar, absolutely. Jerry Eastwood was joining us. Marianne's out there. Holy smokes, Giuseppe. How are you, my friend? Andy Tucker and Terry from Greece started us all off. So I think that's everybody out there today. We really appreciate everybody tuning in. And Stephen's following up with bacon. Yep, Canadian bacon. That's what it's all about.
Okay.
The bacon's sorted.
I'll let you have that one when I've tasted it.
Oh, too funny. Listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up a brand new graphic and poster up on screen here.
Scared anybody off by being here. So nice to see you guys.
Not at all. Yeah, nice. Thank you to everybody out there tuning in. So where is that new special poster? And here it is. This is very exciting. So you're going to see more of this over the next couple of months. And boom, there it is. 50 years after Breakaway, 25 years after its final message, return to Moonbase Alpha next year.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah, brilliant.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. Very nice.
And you'll know Kickstarter coming soon. So we're aiming for a January 1st launch to a Kickstarter, a 30-day campaign where we'll be, of course, asking for everybody's participation in bringing this project together. Of course, we'll have some fun and interesting perks to go along with that. So be watching.
When's that launch, Warren, again? When's the launch for it again?
We're going to launch that January 1, essentially.
In January, 1st of January. Okay.
First week of the new year in that time frame, just so everybody knows, and to be watching for that. And yeah, very exciting. Of course, we had the help of Mr. Anton Phillips, and we've already talked to and approached a couple of other celebrities who are anxious and really excited about this project. And to come on board and continue that story. I love the tagline. The story of 1999 continues in 2026. The future is the past in every level. Yeah, very exciting. Sorry, Daryl, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that looks wonderful. You know,
Yeah.
So yeah, good luck with that. And let's see what can happen. Yeah.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And if we can help, as long as it, like I say, it's since we came back from London, it's just been a bit difficult to get build time and things with Diane and things like that. Hopefully we're on road to recovery, and hopefully Scotty will be as well. And then hopefully it's all guns ablaze and all systems go. But we'll see how it pans out. You know, that's all I can say. But hopefully we'll be there for the party.
But what's good about the build is you don't see the
We try
finished
not
product.
to miss a party. You know.
You don't see the finished product. You see the back of
Yeah.
it. You see how it's constructed.
That's right. Yeah.
That's the fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the English
100%.
section are wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Funny enough, that's what Andrew said to me, because, and again, when you're building for exhibition, you think to yourself, well, you know, how do we cover the ends? How can we do this? How can we make it look better? And we went to 1,000,001 ways. And then we had that play on the Thursday night when you and Roy came in and put the suits on and had a bit of a laugh as well. And I sat down with Andrew, and Andrew just gave me a lovely comment, and he just turned around and he said, "I'm glad you've done it that way, showing all the wood at the back and all this and so that." You know, and I don't know if some of that were intentional. So, you know, an idea of it was, but it was.
I love that as well, because you know what, I've always loved those glimpses through like behind the scenes photos. See the edge of it.
Yeah, and there's not many of them. I think there's about 4 or 5. I know. You know, you've got the pod one where half a cockpit against the wall, and then you've got the long shot. You know, when Nick sat in the chair and everything else. But it's. I'm really pleased people have enjoyed it. Though we've had some lovely comments, and you know, you know me. I'm not going looking for praise, and I'm not going looking for fame. It was built really for a reason, to let's show off that side. We know about the model side. Let's know that side. You know, that still seems a bit of a black hole, to coin a phrase. You know what I mean? So yeah. So yeah, the more we can learn about Keith and his team and all that, because to move them sets and the XM sets in the time frames that they did, and you know, some of them you think, how the heck did they do that? Did they have 1,000 extras or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well,
Steve, a lot of those questions have been answered now with your work, Daryl, and work yet to come in the future. It's really.
I mean, me and Kit are probably touching the surface. You know, we've said that many a time, because. But it's just every time you start looking at the sets, you see something new. You see something you haven't seen before, and you know, you're wondering what that is and where did that come from. And Kit's great as well. He's a fountain of knowledge, you know, because again, he's studied for such a long time. But it's just, it's just, you know, yeah, we're building my own building and stuff like that, and radar tower and things like that. But it just and I learned that with Command Center. It just Simon Rhodes. His original costumes we used to take out. Jim had some. Andrew's original costumes. And the minute on Command Center we put, a mannequin with an original costume on, all of a sudden it came to life. Do you get what I mean? And then you're looking at something that is giving you a feel of what that original possibly you were somewhere close looked like, and that, and I'm just glad that the Eagle's doing the same. It's giving people, just that feel, just oh, it was that big, oh, it was that high, oh, them chairs sat there, you know. The chairs weigh a ton. I mean, they do. They take about 5 people to move one, so they were sat a bit out on that one, but we just wanted to get in and get up, and it was the first time it was erected at London as well, because we hadn't even test fitted here. It was a case of we'll take it down and see how the jigsaw fits. Some pieces went together. The 3 console pieces I've built, but you have your nightmares with each piece. Everything looks simple till you build it. I have a few sayings. Everybody's job is easy till you do it. But with that one, when you have a go at it, and even putting the console to the walls, because you've got fall away angles all over the place, which looks quite easy. That just slams there. But until you've worked everything out, until you get it right, and the thing is, I wanted all the pinpoints. So on the photographs, Dad has to touch there, Dad has to be there, Dad has to come back there, and we had to hit them points, and it took some work, but luckily we did it. So that's all really. But like I said, but having some known items, just going back to the Pinewood thing, I think they did a terrific job with the knowledge they had on the time frame they had, and what they had to achieve.
And it wasn't a slight my comment earlier. It was simply both.
No, I didn't think it were, Warren. But what I'm saying is,
completely different applications. That's all.
We were totally from a different angle. They're doing it for their purpose. They're doing it for their purpose.
They're in it to get onto the next production. Whereas the fan build, you could take a little more time. And no, two completely different applications. So it's fair from that level to compare them. But
as a fan, I mean. We had the luxury. I mean, the people that went on Command Center for a photo, even Sylvia, etc., etc., etc.
Yep.
You name them, they wanted to sit on Command Center.
Of course,
some wonderful photos. Some wonderful photos at lads. But to put the Eagle together, I didn't think it'd be right if we didn't try to do what we did with Command Center. We'd try to give that feel of that original. And like I said, once we had X, Y, Z of proper items, then we can put some of it in front of a chair. The amount of times I went up to the garage to measure the chair, because the garage isn't next to me, and then bring them measurements back against the wall to making sure that the chair is at right height, and they're adjustable, but they still you have to work out how they've set them and then make sure they're in the points. Then you're somewhere there, and we had that luxury. Pinewood didn't have that luxury. We had that luxury. I can take a fire extinguisher and off it against the panel and say, yeah, that's looking right. Yeah, let's just check it. But yeah, it looks right. So
sort of why I started the conversation with it all started with a chair, right? Because once you had those dimensions, it was just so much easier to extrapolate proper scale, right?
I mean, we were lucky with the seatbelt harnesses. We came across them. I've got to get this right if I remember rightly. I think the Eagle one was a 5-point harness with the bottom one cut off, and we managed to get the 4-point harness, so I'd have to add a bit on to them. But they are the exact same, apart from one's a 5-point, one's a 4-point, the exact correct harness. I can't remember the name of that off the top of my head. But again, to try and track things down from 50 years ago, look at them. Great times. We had great times. Nick were wonderful.
Yeah.
Nick, I had a lovely moment with Nick over Scotty and things. So, and Gianni there, yeah. But it was just, we were striving to get you know, and as daft as it seems, you only have to get one thing wrong and it throws it all out. Do you get what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't think we did so bad. I don't think we were so far away. Even with a black and white centre panel, Jim had the original. Originally, Martin Wiley owned the original centre panel. Uh, and like I said, you know, he used to be so good with us, and we'd take things of Martin's out on show, and then he'd join us and things. But Jim and Chris P, they went out. They sent me a load of pictures off the original, which allowed me to size, you know. And our version, I mean, there is nothing photocopy. One clock is letter-setted numbers, letter-setted markings. You know, every piece of them clocks are hand built. They're not just take a photocopy of that and put them on, which, you know, in Eagle, there were photocopies at the time. I just didn't think I'd be doing it justice if I used photocopies. When you've all this wonderful side and back, you know, and I know they did it for purpose. And again, with view screen, it was done for a few shots, really, not in the Eagle, because nobody ever saw it front at Eagle, you know. And boy, do I have to get that right. You know what I mean? You know, and I have my tech on that, you know, and I have my rules to follow, but I put in my head. It has to be all the time. It has to be alpha, you know. So basically, if I stick a 414 Mark 3 console up on top, it probably won't do. You know what I mean? We've got to get it looking like alpha. We've got to get that feel. And there is one question I'm going to throw out there, because the fronts, there is various interpretations at fronts, but my tech will incorporate a little bit of padding at front, because you've got to remember that padding was there for a purpose, in theory, if they go with gravity and everything else and it fails. So my tech is on it that there might be a bit of padding at front as well, because if they're bouncing off the sides and they're bouncing off the back and they're bouncing off the tops, because there's top paddings as well, then I would assume that there might be some sort of paddings down the front as well. Maybe just a line across or whatever. So I'm looking into the angles. I'm just trying to put a alpha take on it than just come up with something out my head. It you know, to justify everything blending in, and that'd be our take. People might not like it. People will like it. I actually did find a way when I was originally measuring things up with Hilton that I could actually get the right shape windows in, you know. So we'll look at things like that and see what can be done. But, you know, sadly, there was no fun. It was use your imagination. So we'll do that best we can, you know.
It was still breathtaking, my friend, and we look forward to what you're able to put together for next year for everybody to enjoy as well.
Okay.
So, listen, we're approaching the 2-hour mark. Thank you again so much for you and for your time today, and for everybody out there tuning in. Of course, we're going to circle over to that fun draw. We're going to be giving away a couple of special effects storyboards here. And you know, for all the build up, Daryl, it's going to be over in about 8 seconds.
Yeah,
but you know, there's winner here. We, like I said, have been adding names just this morning, and thank you to everybody out there who's supported Manchester thus far and taken advantage of that early bird pricing as well as the special raffle here. So I'm going to start.
Don't forget, I mean, the other side to Manchester. I know London has its airports and everything, and I know we've discussed where we think it you know, the hotel is and everything, you know, near the airport type thing. But don't forget, people can fly into Birmingham and they can fly into Liverpool, and even Birmingham and Liverpool are only 25 minutes away type thing. You know, you know, there's a few airports about that people can be trying to come in on from different angles. So yeah.
That's something interesting we haven't touched on. Is the last couple of times out, we've had some fun day trips and excursions as well. So I think Manchester's going to, of course, provide for lots of opportunity there as well.
I know you spoke to me about Port Merion, and me and Scott's been to Port Merion a few times, and
love to. The extended radar for London, it just didn't work out there as an extra add-on to travel that way. But here it's relatively close. I mean, so it's like what, an hour and a half drive from Manchester?
Never enough. I would imagine on a coach or a trip or a bus. I would imagine that I get. You've got to remember, you're in the centre, so you've things to play with. If anybody wanted to go see, you know, where the exhibition stood in Blackpool, and you've got Blackpool as well. You know,
Yeah.
35 minutes. 35 minutes to Manchester.
Mentioned, I mean, one of the big fun things in London we did was go to Milton Keynes, to Jason's museum, and that's on the table again because it's about the same distance.
I know Liverpool. You know, you've talked about Liverpool and Beatles and Cavern and all that. You know, Lois. You know, Lois is praying you're going to go to Anfield because he's a massive Liverpool supporter. You know, so if he goes on an excursion, he might lose Lois. He'll probably take his flask and his sandwiches and be at Anfield until he's been picked up. But don't forget, you've got all in an hour and a half, no more really. You can go to York, you can go to Lake District. You have all these wonderful places that you've probably heard of, but and they're all beautiful. You know, I mean, York is a wonderful place. But again, it's not too far away from Manchester. There's lots of good things to see around Manchester.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, beautiful Yorkshire. You know, beautiful Yorkshire's that way. You know, and Yorkshire is gorgeous. Lancashire's gorgeous. You know, we had a fight with them once, I believe. You know, so we always have that. But Lancashire and Yorkshire, beautiful places. You know, and so yeah, even lower down. You know, Birmingham, you've some fantastic things around there. You know, lots of good things to see at Birmingham as well. You know, at Dudley, you've got the museum with all the steam, like 1930s buildings that have been recreated and things like that. Dudley Museum. So there's lots of very interesting places to go and see. You know, Milton Keynes, I don't know if that is away from Manchester, maybe about an hour and a half, 2 hours. But if you wanted to go down to the to Jason Joyner's wonderful museum is set up, and the original Alpha's in there, and Jim's Moonbug's in there, and some of the original spacesuits and that are in Jason's. I think Nick's has gone there now. Nick Tate's spacesuit. So if you want to get close up and personal, they're still available and not too far away. So I just hope everybody enjoys themselves. Yeah.
No, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, listen, we're gonna spin our famous wheel here, Daryl, and if everybody can see that, it should be sort of in the middle of the screen. Daryl, can you see the big wheel with all the?
Yeah, it's a bit like Wheel of Fortune, isn't it? That sort of thing.
Exactly like Wheel of Fortune. so we've got everybody's name on there. Now, some names are on there 3 times because those would have been weekend membership purchases. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spin it. And like I said, for all the build-up, and thanks for everybody for being so patient and tuning in. But most importantly, for your support, everyone. We really appreciate it. And we're going to come up with a winner here right away of those 2 Brian Johnson storyboards. So you ready, Daryl?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to click, and away we go. Who's going to be the lucky winner? Oh, look at that. Amy T. Amy T.
Amy G. Amy G. Amy T.
Amy T. Amy T. is our wonderful winner of the 2 Brian Johnson storyboards. Congratulations, Amy. Yeah, we'll get those off to you, and we look forward to seeing you guys in Manchester next year. So there we are.
Well done, Amy.
We'll come back to there we go. So and there's Scotty. So that's wonderful. And yes. Andy and Amy. Amy says, wow, Andy, thank you so much for everything. Andy and Amy, just so everybody out there knows, they have a very, very amazing channel on YouTube where they've actually captured all of our Q&A panels from the last couple of events. And they've been basically videographers extraordinaire. And documenting everything for us. So now thank you so much again, guys. Thank you for your support, and congratulations. That's incredible, and we'll hopefully you guys can make it next year. And wonderful. Yeah. So okay, well, listen, I won't keep everybody today. It's been, like I said, we're over 2 hours. Thanks, Scotty. It's so nice to see you, my friend, and Daryl.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody out there. We're so grateful to everybody for tuning in and for your support for Manchester. It's going to be a big, fun, exciting event. Be watching. Keep in mind the early bird pricing will still be in effect till the end of December. And then come January, be watching for news and announcements regarding a new Kickstarter for the Return to Moonbase Alpha project. Okay?
Yeah. And I'm sure the guys are ready with all the exhibits and things that we're hoping to see. They'll let us know, and then you can announce accordingly. And be wonderful. Be wonderful.
Yeah.
London was brilliant.
Official announcements a little closer to the event, just until we can try and discern everybody's schedule a little more clearly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
honestly.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thanks again, guys. We'll say farewell now to everybody out there, and we will see you all very soon on social media. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to us via space1999 50years@gmail.com as well. Okay.
Yeah, super.
Awesome. Sounded good.
So,
Okay.
Thanks everybody, and thanks for watching us. And
Rest of the day to everybody.
see you soon.
And thanks to my special friend, Scotty for joining us today.
Cheers, mate. You're welcome.
My pleasure.
Take care. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.